Developing tonight, women's issues now front and center in the race for the White House, with a number of Republican rivals attacking one another over their respective positions. Donald Trump knocking both Hillary Clinton and then Jeb Bush for questioning whether the government spends too much on women's health. That was Mr. Bush. And it is a comment that Jeb Bush later attempted to clarify. Listen to Mr. Trump.
Well, I think I'll do more for women. I cherish women. I think I'll do more for women than Hillary can ever do. I think that I will take care. You know, I thought Jeb Bush made a horrible mistake when he blew the whole situation on women's health, you know, the women's health issue. A week ago, what he said was just unbelievable. Essentially, he's saying, I'm not going to fund it. And I think that will go down as Jeb Bush's 47%. The 47% to Romney, where probably cost him the election when he said that.
And then there's Fiorina hitting Donald Trump for his suggestion that Planned Parenthood does some good for women. Watch.
Unfortunately, I think Mr. Trump is taking the Democrat Party's talking points on Planned Parenthood. There are many other organizations that exist to help women with their health issues, pap smears, mammograms, et cetera. In fact, Planned Parenthood does very few mammograms, just as one example, but what they do is a whole lot of abortions.
Dana Loesch is the host of Dana on the Blaze TV. Dana, good to see you. And so Mr. Trump seems to be saying that Planned Parenthood does some good work for women. We've had this discussion on our show as well, but that he doesn't want to provide funding as long as they're providing abortions. I mean, I think that's where he's landed. Do you think that's right?
It seems to be kind of accurate, but the problem with that statement, though, is really actually more of a problem with how Planned Parenthood is set up. And I would actually correct Fiorina, who I think has done a very good job of addressing the Planned Parenthood issue. Planned Parenthood doesn't provide any mammograms, zero, and referrals are what they consider service in that area. But to the point of Planned Parenthood and its structure, they don't have two different entities. It's all one big giant entity. And they like to say, Megan, that only 3% of their business actually comes from abortion. But even the Washington Post fact-checked them. Susan B. Anthony's list says it's more around 94%, and this comes from their own financials, which is available on PDF on their website.
94% what?
Of their business, They make bank on abortion.
Well, Susan B. Anthony is a pro-life organization. So
it's a pro-life organization, but Washington Post did include it when they fact-checked, and they had a problem. They had a problem themselves with Planned Parenthood's own 3% statistic. They were saying, that doesn't really fly. So I think you have to separate the both of them for Trump's statement to kind of work.
But it seems like Mr. Trump is concerned about alienating that section of Republican women who he cites, who may, maybe they have fond memories of Planned Parenthood, where a lot of young women go before they have health insurance coverage for birth control, for your GYN exam, and so on. And this is what he told Sean Hannity about it last night. Take a listen.
You have it as an abortion clinic. Now, that's actually a fairly small part of what they do, but it's a brutal part, and I'm totally against it. Maybe unless they stop with the abortions, we don't do the funding for the stuff that we want. There are many ways you can do that, Sean, because I'm totally against the abortion aspect of Planned Parenthood, but I've had many Republican conservative women come up and say Planned Parenthood serves a good function other than that one aspect.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've never met any Republican conservative women that have said that. Two quick things with this. In terms of women served, Planned Parenthood says they serve about 2.7 million women, whereas you have community health centers, and we've covered this before. They serve over 21 million men and women. Actually, three things, I lied. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, why are we even having this conversation about Planned Parenthood when in Obamacare there were billions of dollars, Megan, marked for women's health care? Obamacare was supposed to give women all the pap smears, the mammograms, the birth control pills they need.
Anymore for your GYN exam, because Obamacare was going to pay for it for you.
But the last thing, Megan, is why, in terms of big business with Planned Parenthood, we shouldn't be funding them for the simple reason that they are using public money, Megan, to fund Democrat campaigns. That's not constitutional.
What about Jeb Bush's comment? Because Donald Trump believes, and you heard Fiorina hit Trump, but Trump is hitting Bush, saying his comment about I don't think we need to spend $500 million on women's health care is going to be like Romney's 47%. That Jeb Bush is done with women because of that comment, which Bush later sought to clarify.
Well, I think if they wanted to make swift business of having a 47% remark from Jeb Bush, they would look at his past statements on Common Core and his current statements on Common Core. They don't need any misspeaking from him about Planned Parenthood or funding women's health. But it does pose the question of, well, why are we talking about continuing to fund when, again, in Obamacare, there were billions of dollars already earmarked for it?
That's what Dr. Carson has been saying. Like, I thought that Obamacare was supposed to solve this problem, and yet
Right.
here we are. Dana, great to see you.
Exactly. Thanks, Megan.